Welcome to Girl Choose Yourself, where we're trading self-doubt for self-trust and settling for soaring. I'm Eimear, your host, and together we're building the confidence to create lives so deliciously bold that they scare us a little, but in the best possible way. Because life's too precious to stay cozy in our comfort zones. It's time to choose ourselves for lives that are fabulous and soulfully fulfilling. So let's go. If you have ever felt like you had to over-prepare just to be taken seriously, or like you were being talked over, doubted, or passed over, despite being the most qualified person in the room, well, you're not imagining it. It's a very familiar experience for many women. And today we're talking about the authority gap. I'm breaking it down, what it is, how it shows up in our lives and careers, and what we can actually do to navigate it without losing your sanity, or your self-worth, or your shot at the life that you want. So welcome to this episode, and let's get into it. What is the authority gap? Well, it's a term that was coined by a journalist whose name is Marianne Seagart, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Marianne. And this is how she describes it. So the authority gap is the consistent tendency to take men more seriously than women by default, and to doubt, interrupt, or ignore women's expertise unless or until it's proven. And so just think about that. If you're a woman of a certain age who's reached mid-career or midlife, it's likely that you will have had some experience of the authority gap. Here's a statistic from a Yale University study where they found that when male and female resumes were absolutely identical, the male candidate was rated as more competent and offered a higher salary. Okay, another one. In the legal profession, this is just from the FT a few months ago, I think. The Financial Times, in the legal profession, women make up 47% of lawyers, but hold only 38% of leadership positions. I used to work in that profession, the legal profession in the UK. And I remember one female full partner at the law firm. And she was a rare creature, first of all. And she had an unusual life in that she had a child. She wasn't married. She had 2 full-time nannies to help her look after that child so that she could maintain her high-level leadership role in the legal profession at that time. This is about 20 years ago. I don't think an awful lot has changed, unfortunately. But I was surrounded by women who were, a lot of them were married and thinking about having children. And there was this feeling that you were going to be off track for even associate or senior associate if you had a child. And there was just this one female partner who was the example of how you make it in that environment in leadership. And she was living with quite a unique circumstance in her personal life, not something that any male senior lawyer was dealing with. So that statistic personally didn't surprise me one bit. So we all absorb the same messages, I think, that men are naturally confident, competent leaders, and women are not. Even women internalize these beliefs, is what Marianne Seagart says in her book. So, disturbing statistically, real and alive today, the authority gap. And we're talking about unconscious bias to a large extent. There was another sort of example that was given in the Financial Times recently, saying that a female economist was rated as 20% more persuasive than her male peers, but only when her credentials were visible to them. Only when there were those clear signals. And it isn't just about boardrooms and these professional areas or politics. It shows up in everyday life too, in how you're spoken to at work, whether your ideas are credited, whether you're promoted, or even how you speak to yourself. So let's look at how the authority gap shows up. See where you recognize the authority gap in your own life, in your own experience. Sometimes it's subtle, so subtle that you almost miss it. So 1, you're interrupted or talked over, often by men. Here's a statistic around that. 39% of women say they're regularly interrupted in meetings versus only 20% of men. And it sends a subconscious signal. Your voice is less important. The second way it can show up is that you are mistaken for someone junior. 18% of women have been mistaken for more junior roles, even when they are the ones who are in charge. I remember I had a great boss when I worked for a global publishing company many years ago. And I was on the sales team and really just getting my start and learning the ropes and managing accounts, though, and responsible for bringing in a large target in terms of financial bookings. And I had this great male boss, and we would be in a meeting where a potential client was coming to see us at our offices. We worked in the European headquarters of this publishing company. And, the normal thing is that you're bringing in some refreshments into the meeting. So there would be coffee and tea arriving or pastries, whatever. And my boss never once let me stand up, pour a cup of coffee for anybody. He always did it. And that was a really big signal that he was sending, that because I was in charge of the meeting, even though I was significantly younger than he was there sort of as backup. And he sent this signal by doing that, and I'll never forget it. And the eyes stayed on me as I managed the meeting then. So the second one, you're mistaken for someone junior. But that boss that I had really helped with that one. And the third one is you're doubted until proven, kind of like that point about the female economist being rated 20% more persuasive than the male peers, but only when her credentials were visible, right? So you're doubted until proven. Clients might second guess you, colleagues repeat your ideas, and then they land, when somebody else repeats it, suddenly it's worthy of attention or to be taken seriously. And the worst part about all of this, I think, is that although the individual moments might seem small, they affect us, they compound, and they have this compounding cumulative effect. And they're creating this ripple, and it just drains confidence. You tend to shrink, and your ambition tends to shrink, and it makes us question if it's even worth speaking up, if it's even worth going for the promotion, if it's even worth really looking at that more senior leadership position and going for it. So if this is landing hard, I want you to hear me that it isn't about you being good enough. It's about the environment. It's about the environment and how we've been conditioned to operate within it. And when you think about it, young girls typically we've been praised for being nice and quiet. and well behaved, and not too loud, not too bold, not too opinionated. And probably if we spoke over anybody, we would have known about that and being corrected. Less likely that the boys would have been. Even today, men will overestimate their abilities, while women tend to underestimate theirs. There's a famous Cornell University study on this. Even where they have identical performance, women are underestimating their abilities, and that costs us. That costs us. It feeds into this authority gap. So confidence, I've always believed that we are born with it. It's naturally part of our makeup, and it belongs to us just as much as it belongs to any other human being who happens to be male. But it's conditioned out of us. In our environments, we just absorb these small, subtle, not so subtle signals over a lifetime, and they have built up. And the people who are speaking over us, who are interrupting us, who are repeating our ideas, and then it seems like it's theirs, they were also conditioned. They also picked up signals from their environment. They saw maybe the men speaking over, maybe they saw their father speaking over their mother, and that was okay. All sorts of different environments people grew up in, but a very common thread often. And all of this, it's kind of fucking annoying, isn't it? It's really annoying. Because you've experienced it, I've experienced it, it's so familiar. But it doesn't mean that we're stuck. You know, the good news is that there are things that we can do. There are ways that we can navigate this terrain and this reality in ways that don't just wear us out or break us, but can actually make us bolder. And I think it's so important to talk about this from the female perspective, because whenever I'm talking about confidence, it is gender matters. It matters when you're a woman in the workplace. Confidence is different for women. I'll speak about that in more detail, but let's talk about some tangible strategies that we as women can look to use that I've seen people use effectively to help close the gap. Number one, really important, I think, is it's speaking up in a way that gets heard. And that is really to narrate your value clearly and often. Like, don't wait to be recognized. Don't wait to be asked. Start narrating your wins, your strengths, and your impact out loud. Just as an example, I had a client, we'll call her Sasha, in a STEM leadership role, right? And she began this habit, this practice over a period of 3 months of emailing weekly highlights to her manager. Weekly wins, things that she thought he should know about. She took the initiative. Very friendly, well thought out, short but impactful emails that were landing into her boss's inbox every week. And within a quarter, she was offered a stretch opportunity that she had previously been overlooked for. So narrate your value clearly and often. Don't wait to be asked. The second strategy that I think is really important and really helpful, and that is about managing our inner landscape, our inner terrain. Stay calm and grounded when you're challenged. Your nervous system is like your secret weapon. When someone talks over us or interrupts us or questions our authority, breathe. We can get into reaction way too quickly and become defensive, and then we're losing ground. So we want to stay grounded when challenged. So take the breath, hold eye contact, slow down your speech. The cadence of your speech is a really important signal. Slow down and reclaim the floor. So you can use a simple practice for this, using like an inner anchor breath, like 3 deep belly breaths, feet flat on the floor. You can do this in a busy meeting. It can be very discreet. And responding with something like, thank you, I'm going to finish what I was saying. Your tone's important here, obviously. It's not, thank you, I'm going to finish what I was saying, you asshole. You don't even have to say you asshole. It'll be heard in your tone. And although it's rude to be interrupted and they were wrong, blah, 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 we gotta play the game to be effective. And so your tone matters. And it also helps, I know this is going to sound annoying, to smile. Smile. Thank you. I'd like to finish what I was saying. Sure. Thanks. Yeah. And then continue. And smile. It works. And if you do it consistently, you'll find that the number of incidences of you being interrupted or spoken over are likely to diminish. Okay, so calm and grounded when challenged, and it helps to have a pre-loaded sort of phrase like that for when you are interrupted. Thank you. I'd like to finish what I was saying, and then finish what you were saying. Yeah? You don't want to be struggling for the words, so it's really helpful to have like a stock phrase. Number 3, third strategy that you can use to close the gap. Use credibility cues intentionally. So what I mean by that is, in environments where bias is real, sometimes showing receipts matters. So don't be afraid to lead with your experience when you sense that the room might need reminding. So for example, you might say, as somebody who's led teams across 3 continents, here's my fabulous bloody idea, you better all listen up. Not that second part. So you show receipts, you lead with your authority, you lead with your experience, and you'll get into your own style on this. But again, it's helpful. You're an expert on the environment in which you are operating and the individuals and the personalities that are there and what will land best. So do a little audit and think about preparing some stock phrases like that as someone who's led teams across 3 continents that you can use as credibility cues with intention when you feel the room needs to be reminded. Yeah. Number 4, this I feel is so important and so powerful for women. Create a circle that sees you. A trusted circle of women who reflect your brilliance back to you is not a luxury. It's a bloody lifeline. You need this. You need this. A circle that sees you. This is what Amy Cuddy said. Confidence is contagious. And so is self-doubt. We are influenced by the energy of the people who are around us. Emotions are contagious. Confidence is contagious, and so is self-doubt. Create a circle around you that really sees you and builds you up and reflects back to you your brilliance, and who will help you craft things like these credibility cues that can be so useful, or perfect phrase that you can use with that smile and that nice tone when somebody interrupts or speaks over you to get things back on track and you, the center of attention, sharing your brilliant ideas in important, influential meetings. Okay? So if you are feeling, I don't have a circle like that, I need some help and I need some community, just DM me circle if you are looking for a community to join, and I might be able to help you there. Fifth, final strategy. Interrupt the internalized doubt. We've spoken about the conditioning. We've all been influenced by it as we grew up. So it's not just the external voices that are causing us problems and are affecting us in a very negative way. It's the internalized doubt. Interrupt the internalized doubt. You've got to catch those inner thoughts of doubt in the act and rewire them. And I have a very good practice for this, which is I call the morning reset. And it's a really short audio with kind of a daily mantra. Like, I trust myself. I know what I'm doing. My voice matters. We really have to curate the internal messaging that we are allowing to take our attention and our focus. Too often, we are not managing our attention, and the internal narrative is running old stories of doubt, that we are less than, that the idea isn't good enough, that we're not good enough. So important to get ahead of that and begin to reprogram that. The morning reset audio is a really good place to start. Less than 3 minutes, telling yourself what a badass you are in the morning, just listening to that. And you can find that, I'll put it in the show notes for you, so you can find it really easily and download it. You know, the world may take a while to catch up. I'm 56. It's annoying. It feels like things are going backwards. We've seen a lot of pushback. We've seen a lot of DEIA getting cut funding and disappointing behaviors in many arenas. So we can't wait for the world to do the right thing, for businesses to do the right thing. We don't have to wait. We can really choose ourselves now in a profound and powerful way by looking at these strategies. And yeah, we could say, I shouldn't have to do it. It should be fairer. I shouldn't be spoken over. I should be respected. I shouldn't be underestimated. Fucking waste of time. As somebody who's worked in law and worked in discrimination law, it is the least effective thing that you can do to improve your experience in your workforce is to wait for other people to do the right thing. You have to claim the space yourself, choose yourself, claim the space without apology, and lead like the fabulous, amazing woman that you are, with soul, with truth, and with power. Lean into some of these strategies. If you have found other ones that you are using or that you're going to experiment with, let me know about them. I'd love to hear more on this topic from people who are experiencing issues and have looked at how to address it in ways that are different from what I've shared. The authority gap, yes, it is real, and so is your power. So stay sane. It can feel pretty Wild West and crazy out there sometimes. Get seen for all the right reasons and keep showing up like the future depends on it. Because in a way, it really does. Thanks for your attention this week. And if this landed for you, go grab the free Morning Reset audio. The link is in the show notes. It's my favorite tool to come back to self-trust when things have slipped a little in the internal narrative. Or if you're ready to close this gap for good, book a breakthrough call and let's talk about what it would look like to be done with self-doubt. I will see you next time. Stay awesome. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you got a lot out of it, and if you did, please share it with somebody who you feel would benefit. And leave a review. Always greatly appreciated. Lots of free and paid resources to take things a step further. You can find those in the show notes. And hey, if nobody's told you this yet today, you are amazing. And the world is a far more beautiful place because you're here with us all. Stay cool. Bye.